Hello guys, welcome to the fiction series. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto got harem with Tori and Kira? Part 3. If you want more awesome fan fiction like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, so without wasting any time let's get into the video. This energy should activate the Dino Zord egg, the White Ranger stated proudly as he used his morpher to zap the large white egg in front of him. It had glowing red orbs on it and black spikes covered it, so it resembled his uniform a lot. Soon you'll be ready for your debut. He picked it up, regarding it greedily. When this opens, there'll only be one color left in the rainbow. Tommy's home. Naruto was in the backyard watching Tori practicing water walking across a pond. Since she was able to easily do tree climbing, he moved on to show her the next exercise and demonstrated. She actually was excited about this, she might be able to run across water, but walking on it, that was something she could never do even though being a water expert user. You're doing great, you're a natural at this. He complimented, making her cheek flush a little. You think so? She asked, still walking across the water. Yeah, and that's because you have good chakra control. The last person I knew had excellent chakra control. She was my friend and teammate. Naruto told her and walked on the water besides her. What was her name? She asked and looked at him as they continued to walk. Sakura. Sakura Haruno. He answered. What was she like? Tori asked curiously since she never heard him speak about his old team. Well, at first I had a major crush on her when I went to the academy. He admitted. And well, she hated me. He bluntly said, causing Tori to sweat dropped. But when the team came together, we slowly became like a family. Years went by and I soon started to see Sakura like a sister. Even though times I annoyed her, she still always had my back. He described remembering the times he had hanged out with Sakura and chuckled at the funny memories he had with her. What about your other teammate? Tori asked. He sighed, thinking back on Sasuke and their clash at the Valley of the End. You don't have to tell me if you don't. No, it's fine, Naruto assured her. Sasuke Uchiha is another different story. He was born into a powerful clan that was very important to my village. He explained while Tori listened. But that had all changed. When he was just a child, one day he came back home from training to find the dead bodies of his clansmen. Tori gasped, covering her mouth in horror. He soon found his parents killed by the one person that he had admired for years. His big brother. Naruto said in a grimy tone. Why? Tori asked softly as she felt sick to her stomach. How can a human being just kill their clansmen and family in cold blood? Naruto shook his head. I'm not sure, but since that night Sasuke had changed. He only had one goal in mind, and that was to kill his big brother to avenge his clan. He knew why Itachi killed off the Uchiha clan, but swore to Itachi to never to reveal it. He continued, I was jealous of Sasuke since the academy days. He was considered a prodigy, and I never liked that because I always believed in hard work. But as I said before, when the team came together he started to open up to Sakura, and then things went to hell when we met that man. Naruto spat at the last part like venom. Tori frowned at the way he spat the last part out. Was this man really bad? Before she could ask, Naruto answered. A shinobi by the name of Orochimaru, who was known as the Snake Sannin, but also S-rank missing nin. Missing nin? Tori asked. The runaway shinobi, but most of them are criminals. Orochimaru was a S-rank, which are powerful shinobis. So why did this Orochimaru become a missing nin in the first place? Asked Tori. Naruto looked down as they continued to walk on the water. Years ago, the Sandaime Hokage, who was the leader of our village, had chosen my father to be the Yondaime Hokage instead of Orochimaru. He was furious with this since he was the student of the Sandaime and felt betrayed. Tori had a feeling there was more to this. Months later, people started to disappear from the village and Orochimaru had not been seen as much. A group of Anbu, who are special ops shinobis, were led by the Sandaime to track him as he became a suspect, and once they found him, well, I'm not going to go in details of what he was doing, but all I can say is he was experimenting on human bodies. Naruto said, having a grimace expression, remembering Jiraiya's story about Orochimaru. Tori turned pale and was eye-wide and felt sick. The Sandaime had the chance to finish Uchimaru off as he ran by, but the thought of killing someone who was not only his favorite student but like a son to him, he couldn't go through with it. She was shocked at this. But anyways, one day my team and I were participating in an exam and had to get out of this forest. We ran into him, but he was disguised as someone else. We got our asses kicked bad, and before he left he bit Sasuke in the neck, giving him a mark called the curse mark. Naruto clenched his fist at the thought of that snake. Tori saw Naruto's hand clenched into a fist, shaking a little, and placed her hand on his shoulder, comforting him. Naruto. Naruto turned around and saw Kimberly calling him. He walked to her as Tori followed from behind and were on land. What's up, sis? He asked. Tommy wants you down to the lair, said it was very important. She informed him. Naruto nodded, thanking her, and went to meet his sensei while Tori was walking by him. "You're coming too?" he inquired the former Blue Ninja Storm Ranger. She smirked. "Of course I am. I want to see how you work as a ranger." The two were downstairs and Naruto opened the wall to the lair and saw the other three already there. "Hey guys, I just got the message from Kim," he greeted. "And you brung her here, why?" Kira questioned as her eyes darted at Tori and there was a tiny bit of annoyance in her voice. Before he could answer, Tori spoke. "I told him I wanted to come," she said, making the Water Storm Ranger eyes narrowed as she detected the annoyance in Kira's voice. "It's alright Kira," Naruto had already informed her. Tommy told her. The Yellow Ranger crossed her arms and looked back at the computer screen. "Anyways, any luck finding the identity of that White Ranger drive?" "Oh?" Connor asked, breaking the tension in the room. "Not quite, but look at this," Tommy told them, pointing towards one of the computer screens. It zoomed in on a dino egg, one that was white with black spikes and red orbs. "Whoa," Naruto breathed. "Looks like it's close to popping any minute." "It is," Tommy affirmed. "Hey, what about that one?" Connor inquired, pointing at another screen as the camera zoomed in. "Or that one?" Naruto pointed at the third screen and he camera zoomed in on a silver egg with black stripes in a forest. "Dino Zord eggs are all over the place," Kira surprised at this. "Hey, you think this is what Easter was like millions of years ago?" Ethan asked, chuckling along with Tori and Naruto. "How does he come up with this stuff?" Connor shook his head incredulously. "Connor, Kira, you go to the warehouse. Ethan, you come with me to the docks, we can talk about your Dino Easter theory," Tommy stated. "Yes, I'll be heading to the forest then," Naruto said. "I'm tagging along with you," stated Tori, which surprised him. "You sure? I mean, that's cool and all if sensei's alright with it." Naruto looked over his sensei, who nodded. "Yeah, that's fine, but be cautious we don't if Mesagog has already sent his pteranodrons to find the egg." He cautioned them and handed them a tracking device. "Use that to track the egg, good luck you two and be careful." They nodded and left. Kira frowned at this. "You sure it was a good idea to have her tag along with Naruto drive?" "Oh?" she questioned. "Kira, I understand your concern as Tori is not a ranger anymore, but she's skilled enough to help Naruto in any situation," Tommy explained. "Yeah, lighten up Kira," Connor said. Kira took a deep breath. "Let's just go," she muttered as her and Connor left. In the forest. Naruto and Tori walked around the forest as he held up the tracking device. "Hey Naruto, what was up with that girl back there?" questioned Tori. "Kira? She just been under stress lately since our encounter with the White Ranger a couple days ago," Naruto explained. "Do you know who it is?" Tori asked. He shook his head. "No clue. But whoever he is, he's not someone to take lightly. He nearly destroyed the team and sensei, but lucky I managed to hold him off." The tracking device started to beep as the egg was close by. "Looks like it's coming from over there." She pointed at the direction and both rushed over and had stopped. "It's right around here," he said as they looked around following the readings on the device. They had passed a tree and saw what they were looking for. "Jackpot," Naruto cheered, crouched low, joined by Tori looking at the egg. "So, this is a Dinozord egg?" Tori looked interested in the egg. "Yup, good thing we're the only ones here," Naruto said, however. "Don't be so sure," said a voice, and stepped out from behind a tree was Elsa, crossing her arms. "Oh, great, you again, guess you didn't learn last time we faced off," Naruto mocked. "Oh, but this time I brought some insurance." She smirked and snapped her fingers and appeared from behind other trees were pteranodrons. Naruto sighed at this event but would try to finish it quickly as possible. "Alright then, you asked for it." His moffer appeared on his wrist and pressed a button. Dino Thunder power up. Ha! Naruto was in his Green Ranger suit with a dragon shield. He gripped the dragon dagger in his left hand and had the dragon sword in his right while Tori got in her fighting stance. She was handed the dragon sword by Naruto. "I've seen you use a sword before, think you can take care of her?" he asked Tori. "How sweet, Green Ranger, although I expected you to be by your beloved Yellow Ranger," mocked Elsa. Naruto didn't know what she meant by that, but Tori, she was livid at Elsa's statement and her eyes dangerously narrowed. "This bitch is mine," Tori growled, taking the sword, shocking Naruto, while Elsa was livid in rage. "Attack," she commanded the pteranodrons as they charged. Naruto and Tori split up. He charged at the group of pteranodrons and she went after Elsa. Naruto put his finger in a cross Kage Bushin no Jutsu. 4 clones appeared besides him charging. "Let's show these freaks how shinobi fight," he declared. "Hi!" they cried as they charged and split up, taking the enemies in groups, and one went to protect the egg. He switched the dragon dagger in a reverse grip and slashed an enemy as he passed by and spun, slashing another. He blocked 2 pteranodrons' attacks and slashed the X mark on both of them and kicking them back as they exploded. He blocked an enemy's attacks as he slashed the arms and legs, then flipping on its back and stomped on the chest. He continued to block the attacks with his dagger and attack the enemies. He had an idea and added chakra to the dagger flute. He began to play a tune and appeared in the air floating were multiple green shurikens. He played a different tune making the multiple shuriken rip through the air hitting multiple of pteranodrons. Naruto turned around doing a pose with the dagger as the enemies fell down and exploded. He saw a few more enemies left and teleported in a green flash and slashed multiple of them. Once he stopped they fell down and exploded. He looked and saw the clones finish off the others. Tori was going offense against Elsa and was pushing her back. She was still PO about Elsa comment, making the women regret her comment. She was able to knock the sword away and gave 2 kicks to Elsa who retaliated with a slash, but Tori backflipped away and got in a pose making a bring it gesture and smirked. Elsa yelled as she charges and clashed against the former blue ninja Storm Ranger, who returned with her own attacks. Sparks were flying as the blades made contact with each other. Elsa had found an opening and was about to end Tori's life, but luckily Naruto had appeared and blocked the attack with his dragon dagger and threw her sword away and gave a kick staggering her back. Tori charged jumping on Naruto's shoulder and used him as a boost. She jumped off him towards Elsa and slashed her across the chest as sparks flied making her cried out and fell. Naruto joined next to Tori as she handed him back his dragon sword and then saw Elsa getting up, but he knew she was already hurt and it would be foolish of her to keep fighting, even she must know that. "You're lucky Green Ranger, but mark my words, this is not over yet." She growled and vanished in the green portal. "You were awesome back there, you totally had her." Naruto praised making her blush a little. "Thanks, looks like my sword training has paid off." She joked making him chuckle. "I'll say. Now let's get that egg," he said as they both rushed where the egg was and saw it still in the same spot. Naruto picked it up and it started to crack. "It's hatching," Tori exclaimed. Soon the egg had hatched in Naruto's hand, showing a small silver bird-like dinozord with grey eyes as it cried. "Whoa." Naruto was in awe. "What kind of dinozord is that?" Tori asked but was all like Naruto. The small Zord flew out of Naruto's hand and grew bigger, bigger and bigger and was the size of a Zord and gave a shriek cry. Naruto's morpher changed as it had the silver bird-like Zord head. It beeped as Haley spoke through the link. "Way to go Naruto. What you found was the second Dragozord." Tommy and Ethan had already found the Parasaurozord. The guys regrouped and are currently battling a monster. "Wait, you said second Dragozord, where's the first one then?" Naruto asked and before she spoke he heard the same cry as the Zord. "That's not good, it seems that White Ranger hatched it and now they're going against the guys," Haley said. "I'm on my way," Naruto told her as he signed out. He looked at Tori and was going to speak. "Oh," she told him, which he didn't expect. "It's dangerous for me now that you're facing a Zord, but be careful." She cautioned him and put her hand on his helmet like it was his cheek. Naruto held her hand and nodded as he left rushing to help his team. Tori watched him rush off and sighed as she leaned against a tree and touched her chest trying to control her heart. Tori hadn't felt like this before, not since the time she first met Blake. She sighed again, it had been a while since she dated after her hard breakup with him. He had been traveling around so much because of his motocross dream. She supported his dream, but it was just too hard as there were times she needed him. She was just in thoughts thinking of what she should do. But the others. The 3 Rangers in the Megazord turned to look at the top of a warehouse building as a dino shriek almost like the Pterazord rang pierced the air. Atop the building was a white bird-like dinozord, its red eyes focused on the Megazord as it let loose another cry. "Whoa, what's that?" Ethan stated in awe. "I'll give you one guess," Connor growled angrily. "He must have hatched a dinozord egg," Kira added. "I really don't like the look of this." "Hello again, Rangers," the White Ranger called, jumping up onto the beak of the white Zord before them. "Well, what do you think? If you wear the suit, you gotta have the Zord, right? Now, let's see what this bird can do," the White Ranger stated, bringing up his morpher. "Dragozord. Activate." "You guys ready for this?" Connor inquired, keeping himself from sighing. "I guess so." Kira shrugged, not ready at all. "Huh?" For once Ethan was lost. "Let's do it," the White Ranger stated, powering up his Dragozord. Tommy was worried about his students and his morpher beeped as Haley spoke. "Tommy, I got good news, Naruto has found the second Dragozord, he's on his way," Haley said through the link. "Really? That awesome." Tommy in relief. "Let's just hope the guys can hold off." The Megazord and the White Ranger's new Dragozord faced off as the White Ranger himself stood on the beak nose of his Zord. "Dragozord, show these fools what you can do," he chuckled, jumping down onto a rooftop. Flapping its wings and releasing another cry into the air, the Dragozord sent debris flying at the Thundersaurus. Standing and watching on the streets below, Tommy cursed as the Megazord stumbled with all the wind, glass, roof tiles, cars and debris it was being battered with. "Hey, no need to get crazy," Connor yelled. The Dragozord kicked off, flapping its wings furiously as it flew through the air towards the Megazord. Funneling forward, it smashed its beak into the Thundersora several times, and several more times, each time worse than the last, as sparks flew madly around. They need help. Tommy realized, bringing up his morpher as the Brachio head changed into a purple-red Stego. Stegozord activate. He needed to buy time until Naruto arrives. The purple-red Dinozord which Tommy called came running out of the Brachizord. "I was hoping you'd do that," the White Ranger announced, as the blade on his Dragozord turned into a sort of white whipper ribbon that he then launched towards the Stegozord. "Stegozord, you are under my command." And its eyes flashed a different color as the White Ranger leapt into his Dragozord, a similar orb command center around him like those in the Megazord. Dino Stegozord formation. "Oh, not good." Tommy sighed, watching as the Dragozord took off and flew towards the Stegozord, legs reaching out to grab it. The two Zords combined, soon forming the Dino Stegozord. "He stole the Stego," Connor pointed out. "What?" exclaimed Kira. "No way." Ethan is disbelieved. "Not bad for a new guy, huh?" The White Ranger chuckled as it was now the Stegozord versus the Thundersor's Megazord. "Why are you doing this?" Kira inquired. "You're losing it." "No, you're the one losing it," the White Ranger stated. "And you're losing it to me." The Dino Stegozord swung a large sword made up of the Stegozord's tail at them, shooting sparks galore when it connected with the Megazord's chest. The Megazord stumbled back a few feet before squaring up and preparing to face off against the Dino Stegozord. "I say we go at him full on," Tricerafist Ethan exclaimed as his Zord's horn punched the White Ranger's Megazord a few times and stumbled backwards. "Tyranno-drill." Connor disassembled the Parasaurozord from the Megazord, and the Tyranno-drill came out and charged the drill, and jumped charging it at the Stego Megazord. Dino Stegozord stinger intercept. The White Ranger countered, and as the Zord sent the stinger and both attacks clashed in midair, but the resulting battle left the Thundersaurus behind as it stumbled backwards, and in the following hit, it broke apart into its individual Zords. The Rangers fell out hitting the ground hard and grunting in pain. "Brittle," Kira hissed in pain, holding her shoulder as she struggled to sit up. "You're telling me," Ethan commented, breathing deeply. "Are you guys alright?" Tommy asked, running up as the Rangers sat up. "Yeah," Connor nodded. "But our Zords are seriously tweaked." "That was just low," the Black Ranger said as they all got to their feet. Their Zords were on the ground now, crying out as their eyes flashed and then dimmed. "Since when do they have bad Power Rangers?" Ethan frowned. The Dino Stegozord stood in the streets a little ways away, watching the fallen Zords. "Now, I'll take the rest of the Zords." He cackled, holding up a glowing Dragozord. "No, I have to stop him," yelled Tommy and stepped forward with his morpher at the ready as he pressed a few buttons but then. "AMV Naruto Ostkai Jayakutin." A silver blur flashed by and hit the Dino Stegozord, making it stumble back. "What the?" questioned the White Ranger. The blur had flashed by several more times attacking the Megazord as it tumbled back. "What was that?" asked Ethan. Tommy smiled under his helmet. "It's Naruto." He answered, surprising them, and the blur slowed down to reveal the Dragozord, but it was silver with black marks. "The Dragozord?" Connor was confused. "It's a different color," Kira pointed out. The Stegozord Megazord got back up. Jumping on the silver Dragozord beak was Naruto. "Sorry I was late guys, I got this," Naruto told his team through his morpher. "We meet again, Green Ranger," the White Ranger mockingly greeted. "I would say the same thing to you, but since we're under different circumstances. I hope you're ready for a beatdown, Naruto." The Ranger chuckled. "Try then, you'll just fall like the rest of your pathetic team and teacher." Naruto eyes narrowed at this. "Just for that, I think I'll introduce you to someone." Naruto played the dragon dagger. From the closest ocean the Dragonzord had risen through the bubbling water roaring and whipped its tail. It marched to the battlefield seeing the Megazord and roared. "Beat the Dragonzord." Naruto smirked. The Ranger laughed. "Show me what you got," he taunted. Before Naruto could attack, Tommy spoke through the morpher link. "Naruto, you should be able to combine the Dragonzord with the Dragozord," Tommy told him. "Awesome, thanks sensei." He thanked him and looked at Ranger. "I'll show you what I got." He jumped in the Dragonzord fighting mode formation. "What?" exclaimed the White Ranger. "Transform sequence." The Dragonzord jumped and the Dragozord flew high. The Dragonzord chest piece came off and the arms folded in, and both shoulder piece formed into a chest armor that was the symbol of the Dragonzord, and the feet had folded up. The Dragozord had separated as the wings became the legs, and the legs became the arms of the Dragonzord. The bottom mouth opened showing the head, and finally a staff was by its side. The crest was the chest piece of the Dragonzord, the top was a big drill, and the bottom had the Dragozord's head that acted like a spear. This formed Dragonzord fighting mode. Google in Dragonzord and Dragozord, it'll show a picture of the two Zord combined. "Dragonzord fighting mode ready," Naruto exclaimed in the Megazord as it took a pose with the staff. From the bottom the teams were shocked at the new Megazord but also blown away. Alright. Cheered Ethan. That's my bro. Exclaimed Connor. Make this jerk regret ever messing with us. Shouted Kira. Let's show him what we're made. Naruto declared as the Dragon Megazord twirled the staff around and went after the Dino Stego, who used its Stego spear to clash, and both trying to push one another back. Dragonzord managed to push back the Stego and hit it with the Drago spear side causing sparks and went to stab it with the drill, but it was blocked and was slashed getting pushed back. The two Megazords again charge and lock their weapons pushing back for dominance. Why don't you just give up, make it easy for yourself? Shouted Naruto. The White Ranger chuckled funny, I was just thinking the same thing. The Stego Megazord had kicked the Dragonzord back. Now time to end this. Dino Stegazord Stinger. The Stego Megazord had set the spear in mid-air and powered it up before launching it towards the Dragonzord. Nice try buddy, Drago spear intercept. Naruto shouted as the Dragonzord let the spear go in mid-air and the Drago head was facing the Stego Megazord. The Dragozord stood back and thrust its hands at the staff launching it past by Stinger Spear and struck the Stego Megazord, causing the two Zords to break apart. AMV 253. He did it. Cheered Connor. Nice. Ethan high-fived the Red Ranger. That'll teach him. Kira cheered. You'll pay for that, the White Ranger hissed angrily before the Dragozord awoke and flew away. Naruto went to his team who ran to him. Good save man, Ethan commented giving Naruto a fist bump. Thanks but I doubt if it'll last, he said. Naruto's right, the White Ranger's power over the Stegazord is too strong, we better head back to the lab. Said Tommy. The White Ranger appeared in the warehouse district after leaving his Zord. Huh? He suddenly clutched his chest, glowing white and crackling with orange lightning. Unbeknownst to him, Devin came around the corner. It's you're the White Ranger. He stuttered excitedly as he opened one of his bags and attempting to quickly pull out his camera. Please, baby, just don't move Mr. Ranger. As he struggled to get his camera ready, his head jerked up and smashed against a metal pipe. His eyes rolled upwards and he fell to the ground, having passed out. The camera landed beside him, pointing at the White Ranger as he demurfed. Dino lair. Well, that was like the worst day ever, Connor muttered, sitting on the steps. Brittle. The blue-clad boy agreed. There's going to be a lot of days like this, guys, Tommy pointed out walking past them. There's no doubt about that. Naruto said sitting on a step beside Kira. Whatever happened to the glass if half full? Kira inquired. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, Tommy stated. But that's when you've gotta dig deep. That's when the qualities that made you guys Rangers become most important. You guys can't be hard on yourself. Being a Ranger takes deeper just like Sensei said. We knew sooner we'd be running into a dangerous foe, and even though we didn't count on fighting another Ranger doesn't mean it's the end yet. Naruto said. You're right, Connor sighed, nodding. What should we do Dr. O? Go have a little fun, Tommy suggested. Ethan, isn't there a new video game you want to check out? I never thought I'd hear myself say this, but I have no desire to go near a computer, he confessed, his shoulders dropping. I know what you mean, Kira agreed. I haven't picked up my guitar in days. Go on, Tommy stated. Teacher's orders. They looked at each other and nodded walking off. Tommy looked back at Naruto. Naruto, why don't you hang out with Tori, I'm sure she'll be happy to learn from you more. He suggested, but this caught Kira's ear as she stopped midway. Actually I was thinking about hang out with Connor since I'm actually interested in soccer. He said. Kira sighed in relief and left. Alright, I'll see you when you get home. Tommy said. Naruto nodded and left with his friends. The doors to the Ranger base closed and he sighed. Enjoy yourselves now, because this is only going to get worse. Honor toyed with the opposing players on the field, kicking it around them and practically running in circles with the rest of his team. It took him little to no effort to race from one end of the field to the other, passing it to other players now and then, before scoring. Naruto was sitting on the bench watching the game and was impressed with Connor's skills. He was into the game that he didn't notice Trent sitting at the end of the bench for a minute and had saw him. Yo Trent. He called out. Huh? The cyberspace busboy looked at his left, lost. Are you alright? The Green Ranger inquired, rubbed his head who was pale and sweaty and his eyes looked swollen, as if he'd missed a lot of sleep. Yeah, I'm fine, he nodded, but Naruto knew it was a lie. He clearly didn't look it and Trent knew this as he looked at a slightly blurry Naruto. No offense man, but you don't look fine at all. Naruto stated, reaching out to pat his shoulder, but the teen knocked it away. No. I'm just taking a rest. Maybe I should call your dad or something. Naruto offered. No, don't. Just leave me alone. He snapped and with he ran off. Connor joined Naruto frowning. What was that about? He inquired. I don't even know. I better go check on him. Suggested Naruto. Dude, forget it, he's gone, said Connor. I'll see you around. Naruto said, running off in the direction Trent had gone. Naruto jogged down the path surrounded by grass and trees, looking around for traces of Trent. He noticed a small cliff that led down to the river with a small stony beach. Looking around and noticing no other path. I know he went this way. Appearing out of nowhere was the White Ranger jumping through the air and knocking Naruto off the cliff. He activated his morpher and changed in the air and landed on his feet safely with the dragon dagger in his left and the dragon sword in the right. The White Ranger somersaulted overhead, landing further down the beach. "You again?" Naruto growled. "Tell you what," the White Ranger began. "Why not make this sporting?" He pulled out his dragozord and threw it away where it landed in on the side. Naruto was wondering what his game was and hesitated but threw his dagger and sword. "I'll admit, you're good, but I'm better." Naruto got in a stance. "Oh, really?" He chuckled before running super fast, about to hit Naruto, but he vanished and a green flash appeared behind him a few feet away. "Looks like you missed," mocked Naruto. The two were silent as if they were observing each other for any movement. "We're both rangers, why should we be fighting each other?" questioned Naruto. "You're good, I'm evil," the White Ranger stated. "It's a pretty simple concept." He ran at Naruto in super speed, who added some of Kurama's chakra in his feet to match the speed of the White Ranger. They threw punch after punch, kick after kick, before knocking one another backwards and smashing onto the ground. Naruto got up as did the White Ranger and charged at each other, smashing their fist making a shockwave, and Naruto did two front kicks making the Ranger block and dashed back. Naruto was still in his stance as he slowly approached the White Ranger, who hit a left jab, then a right straight punch, and then a fast roundhouse which he didn't have time to block and was hit and spun, landing on a knee. He shook his head, clearing himself, and stood up, rolling his neck and shoulder, getting in a stance. The White Ranger chuckled, getting in his stance, and both had charged, colliding again. "Dino lair. Come on, I've gotta do something," Tommy thought to himself, typing away at the supercomputer, trying to find some weakness to the White Ranger. Some advantage they could gain over him. As he continued to concentrate on this, he didn't notice as Kira walked up. "Hey," Kira breathed as they appeared at his sides, and he looked up. "Kira?" He frowned. "That whole have fun thing, well, kinda tough when the fate of the world is hanging in the balance," Kira said. "Should have known you'd have a tough time with that," Tommy nodded, sighing. "She's not the only one," Ethan stated, coming in as well. Just then the alarm went off and an upgraded version of Anger appeared on screen. He was giant-sized again, and the Rangers rolled their eyes. "Well, you guys have good timing," Tommy stated. "Hope Connor and Naruto aren't having too much fun." The alarm beeped again, and as an answer, the screen shifted to the image of Naruto morphed and battling the White Ranger hand-to-hand combat. "Man, Naruto's good," Ethan commented. "He's gonna need help, I'm going after him," determined Kira. "Alright, but be careful," Tommy cautioned her as she nods and took off. "Ethan, contact Connor, looks like we'll have to deal with Anger ourselves," Tommy told the Blue Ranger, who nodded. They got up and positioned themselves in a row. "Dino Thunder, power up." "Ha." Somewhere in the city. Tommy, Ethan and an arrived Connor rounded a corner running down a street and spotted Anger. "Auxiliary Zords, online." Dr. Oak called, and his morpher flashed between the heads of the Parasaurozord and the Cephalozord as they bounded out of the Brachizord. Ethan and Connor brought up their morphers and called their Zords out as well. Together, the four Zords raced towards Anger, who began shooting at them angrily. But Naruto. He was blocking a series of kicks and did a low sweep which the White Ranger dodged easily, but Naruto then put his hand down, pushing himself up, and delivered two kicks, stumbling the White Ranger back. He didn't let up as he charged to deliver a flying kick but was grabbed and thrown to the ground. He rolled over, avoiding a stomp, and got up quickly. Questioned, "Why bother working with those weak rangers? You clearly are powerful as I am. Think about it. With you and me working together, no one can stop us, so what do you say?" asked the White Ranger. Naruto had thought about his words for a few seconds and already gave his answer, which was the middle finger. "That's what I think of your offer," he said. The Ranger shook his head in disappointment. "Too bad, you would have been a good partner." He used his super speed towards Naruto, who extended his arm out of nowhere, hitting the Ranger as he fell on the ground back first. He was picked up and hit with knees after knees to the gut and elbow strikes to the head, but those were blocked. The both had kicked each other back far, landing next to their weapons. The White Ranger grabbed his dragozord while Naruto grabbed the dragon sword and dagger. Both charged, clashing against each other, and soon were just blurs as sparks were flying till they locked their weapons against each other. The White Ranger knocked the dragon sword away and slashed Naruto across the chest several times. Struggling against the hits, Naruto managed to grab onto his opponent's wrist and returned a few slashes with the dagger and kicked him hard, sending him back. The Ranger got up and held its chest. "That's it, no more game." He created a series of white multiple arrows in the air. Laser arrows, fire. The arrows launched towards Naruto, who played the dragon dagger, and a series of multiple green shurikens appeared in the air, launching at the arrows, which created a small explosion. With Kira raced through the side streets on her raptor cycle, driving as fast as she could, with fearing to run over someone or drawing too much attention. Suddenly, her bike jerked and she looked over her shoulder to see a pteranodon had grabbed on and was trailing in the wind behind her, slowly crawling forward. Okay, I try to miss share and share, but seriously, when you go touching my things without asking, it really pisses me off. She exclaimed, turning a corner with such force that it sent the monster flying off and into a street lamp. Naruto was being pushed back and tried to counter, but the White Ranger stole his Thundermax saber, turning this into a dual sword fight, but the Ranger fired a cheap shot with a Thundermax laser, sending Naruto back. It's over now, Green Ranger. Wish you could have taken my offer. The White Ranger approaching Naruto. AMV Naruto, the fighting spirit. Naruto clenched his fist. He wants to play dirty. Fine, I'll play dirty. Kurama, please give me some chakra. Pick his ass, Naruto. Kurama said. It is not over yet, he growled through his teeth as a faint red glow surrounded him. Super Dino power. Suddenly, the spike designs on his uniform grew into actual gold spikes, and his dragon shield had the mark of the Dino Thunder. Strength filled up the Green Ranger as the mixture of Kurama's chakra and raw Dino power coursed through his veins. He charged towards the White Ranger. Stay back. He shouted and fired off shots that were simply in vain. In revenge for all those previous hits, Naruto took his sweet time slashing the White Ranger around with the spikes, before finally delivering a punch that sent him sprawling onto the ground. Whoa, the Green Ranger breathed. Looks like thanks to Kurama I tapped into a whole new level of power. He looked at the down Ranger who was getting up and smirked. The Ranger got up and charged, launching a flying kick, but Naruto hit a spinning wheel kick, knocking him away. The Ranger got up and threw left, right punches and kicks, but Naruto blocked them and locked a hold on the arm, bending it. The Ranger went to slash him, but Naruto blocked the sword with his spikes and kneed him in the stomach and let go, following it with a jumping back kick. The Ranger stumbled back at this while Naruto landed, looking at him. I just hope I can finish this before this power runs out. He ran to clash with the White Ranger. And AMV. With Kira smirked after getting rid of another batch of pteranodons that had tried to hitch a ride from her. She swerved around another corner and raced on, only to come skidding to a stop on a dirt road as a figure appeared in the middle of her path. So nice to see you, Yellow Ranger, Elsa smirked evilly, her sword in hand. What do you want? Kira spat, although she was pretty sure she knew already. You're heading to a fight you're not part of. Their point? You're not part of it either. Retorted the Yellow Ranger. No, but my master has business with the two Rangers involved. And we'd rather not have some lovesick schoolgirl crashing the party. Lovesick schoolgirl? Oh, you are so dead, you bitch. Kira growled, jumping off her raptor cycle. Elsa laughed maniacally, rushing forward to slash madly at the Yellow Ranger, who managed to summon and block with her Ptera grips just in time. They battled it out relentlessly, both getting hits on one another that caused eruptions of sparks to go off, but neither seemed like they were gonna back down anytime soon. Not bad for someone who keeps getting beaten up by the White Ranger, Elsa cackled, their weapons locking together again as they tried to push one another over. Says the Wicked Witch of the West who's never fought him, Kira spat, twirling out of the fight before ducking Elsa's swipe and swinging the Ptera grips, aiming at Elsa's legs. They hit right on target and Elsa shrieked as pain shot through her legs. They buckled beneath her and she cursed the Yellow Ranger as she threw her sword forward. Kira back flipped out of the way, landing near her raptor cycle and getting back on. Thanks for the warm-up. Gonna need it if I'm gonna save the boy in green. And with that she sped off, leaving Elsa to rant angrily before teleporting back to Mesagog's lab in a flash of green electricity. Kira pulled to a stop at the edge of the cliff and looked down at the stony beach by the river, spotting Green and White Rangers about several meters away from one another. The White Ranger's suit was smoking and collapsing. She watched as Naruto hesitantly took a step forward. Oh, Naruto, don't. She worried, but he ran to the downed Ranger, helping him into a sitting position. She noticed the helpless White Ranger's body language change all too soon. Naruto, no, get out of there. Huh? Naruto frowned, looking around the riverbank. I thought I heard something. Might have been the sound of the wind rushing in one ear and out the other, the White Ranger suggested, before kneeing Naruto in the stomach and getting up. I can't believe I fell for that. Naruto grunted as he was pushed back. I can't believe you fell for that. Kurama deadpanned. And here's what you get for your stupidity, his counterpart announced, shooting him with the Thundermax laser a few times, but thanks to Kurama's chakra Naruto was still protected and rushed as he blocked the Dragozord and knocked the Thundermax laser out of the Ranger's hand and slashed him multiple times, sending him back. Naruto fell down on one knee, panting as he powered down to regular form. Kira rushed by his side and looked over him. Are you alright? She asked and helped him up. Yeah, I am. Naruto said in relief seeing her. But the moment was ruined as the White Ranger used his super speed, slashing both of them multiple times, and they fell. Never take your eyes off your opponent Rangers. Smugly said the White Ranger. Naruto and Kira had stood up preparing for battle, but it was broken by a flash of green. The White Ranger turned to see Mesagog and Zeltrax standing there. Don't let me interrupt, the Dino monster stated. Who are you? Demanded the Ranger. I am Mesagog. Hissed. I can't believe you two haven't met, Kira spat. You have so much in common. Silence. Zeltrax roared, firing a blue electrical blast from his sword that was going to hit Kira, but Naruto pushed her out of the way taking it square in the chest, knocking him far away onto the ground. Naruto. Kira shouted in worry and ran to him. Do not speak unless spoken to, Mesagog mused, turning to the White Ranger. Now we have some business to attend to. I have no business with you, said the Ranger. I'll make you a deal. I'll help you defeat the rest of the Power Rangers and you can be one of my subjects when I rule the planet. I'll take a pass on that. Dragozord online. The White Ranger called as his morpher beeped. Seconds later, the Dragozord hovered overhead and he jumped up and into it. The two villains watched him fly away before approaching the Rangers. Kira was alert now and on her feet. Terra grips in hand and held them tight considerably when they got closer. Shall I finish them, master? Zeltrax inquired, seeing as the Green Ranger's uniform was smoking. Try it. Kira, she dared them. Kira, don't. Naruto pleaded weakly. No, Mesagog shook his head. Our new friend seems to have a fascination with the Green Ranger. I will let him live in the hopes that he will lead us to him again. Kira watched as they walked away, disappearing in a flash of green light. Sighing, she dropped onto the ground, letting her weapons go and dropping her fighting spear. She sat there a few moments, regaining her strength before she heard shuffling and groaning beside her. Naruto. Hey. He breathed, weakly pushing himself up with her help. How you doing? She asked. Alright for now, but man, I'm going to have bruises for a week. Kim is going to kill me. He joked. Kira gave a little chuckle. Leave it to Naruto to make a joke after a fight. Let's go, we got to help the others, she stated as they began to walk off towards her raptor cycle. As the auxiliary Zords and two of the main Biozords continued to attack Anger, Connor looked to his teammates with worry. Do you think Kira and Naruto are alright? I mean, we haven't heard from them in a while. Yeah, I feel the same way, and with that White Ranger on the loose it's dangerous, said Ethan in concern for his two other team members. It was then the Rangers realized that Anger had disappeared and the Zords were furious. Something's not right, Tommy stated, while Ethan and Connor exchanged glances. Kira pulled to a stop farther down the riverbank nearing the docks. She and Naruto watched as a newly formed Anger and the Dino Stegozord faced off against one another. Hey, they're fighting each other, she exclaimed. As Anger shot chains around the Dino Stegozord, who struggled, Dr. O, Kaylee and Ethan caught up to them. Hey guys, Connor waved as they arrived. We got here as soon as we could, Ethan said. They all watched the fight. Anger was confident in his chains and pulled them tighter as the Dino Stegozord's mechanisms creaked loudly. Oh, you got me, he chuckled before his Megazord began to glow white. Not. The chains exploded and he reared up to attack again. Oh, no. Anger groaned as his opponent leapt through the air, swinging the sword made from the Stegozord's tail. As Anger recoiled, the White Ranger set up another attack from his Zord, this time using lasers to blast at the monster, and soon exploded. This guy is the real deal, Naruto commented grimly. Being a liar? I don't get it, Kira stated as they sat or stood around in the Ranger base. 1 minute the White Ranger's fighting us, and the next he's blowing up Mesagog's freaks. Whoever he is, he could definitely use an anger management course, Ethan pointed out. That reminds me. Sensei, what was with that whole Super Dino power? Naruto asked. Tommy got up from his spot by the computers and walked towards the teens, while Haley and Kim turned around in their chairs. Look, you guys are only beginning to access your full potential. I like the sound of that, Ethan grinned. And once you do, your powers will be stronger, said Tommy. So that means I'll be able to teleport longer then? Asked Naruto. When you begin accessing more aspects of your Raptorzord powers, yes. Tommy nodded. Naruto nodded this. Hey Connor. Kira began, looking over at the soccer player. I just remembered, we left the fossil finder at the warehouse, didn't we? Oh crap, that's right, Connor winced, looking at Tommy, Haley and Kim. I can go back and get it if… No. Tommy shook his head. You guys go home and get some rest, I'll get the fossil finder. Thanks, Connor grinned, slowly getting up and the 14 started towards the stairs. The Red Ranger frowned a moment. I wonder if Trent's cool, I saw him earlier. I'm sure he's fine, Kira stated. Naruto didn't say anything. Hey Naruto, I was wondering if you wanna hang out. I'm writing a new song and want to know what you think. Kira asked him. Both the boys were watching this with interest. Naruto smiled at her, sure, that'd be cool. He said, and the teens were gone. Gem walked up to Tommy holding out a bag. Here. Thanks. He nodded, taking it. I'll be back soon, beautiful. He kissed. Be careful. Haley said. I'll be fine. He smiled before leaving. Kim and Haley watched him go, slightly worried. Tommy kicked down a door and stepped inside the warehouse, looking around slowly. Eventually he came across the fossil finder, which was now attached to some high-tech equipment. He walked over, frowning. What's this? He inquired, reaching out to touch it, but a crash behind stopped him as he turned. Trent stumbled in, falling against a barrel as he moaned. Trent. He called, running over and trying to help him up. You okay? What's going on here? Trent asked, squinting his eyes to keep his vision from blurring. Come on, we gotta get you out of here, Tommy stated and began to pull Trent away when he cried out, arching backwards. He tried to steady him but was knocked away when the Dino Gem on Trent's wrist began to glow madly. Dr. Oliver was knocked into a bunch of barrels and Trent fell to his knees, crying out in pain before a large flash of white took over his body. When it faded, Tommy gaped at the sight before him. I never would have seen that coming. Either perish, Black Ranger. The White Ranger, Trent cackled. This is not going to be pretty, Tommy muttered, morphing into the Black Ranger and pulling out his Thundermax saber. He and the White Ranger clashed, Thundermax saber versus Dragozord, but it wasn't long until Tommy was knocked back into a barrel. We can help you. Ignoring him, the White Ranger kicked Tommy away, sending him flying into some boxes before turning to do something with the technical equipment. You're the one who needs help. Retort the White Ranger. Holding up his morpher, Tommy turned on the communication as he rose to his unsteady feet. Haley, Kimberly, listen. Yeah? What is it, Tommy? The White Ranger is Tommy got no further and cried out as a ray of orange amber was blasted at him from the White Ranger's contraption. He was suddenly frozen in the substance, unable to move or carry out his message. Tommy, come in, Tommy, Tommy. Kimberly voice pleaded over the comm link. Let's keep this our little secret, the White Ranger cackled, walking away. Naruto was at the park on a bench with Kira, who was playing her guitar and singing a song for him. Once she was done and strummed her guitar softly, she looked at him to see what he thought. Naruto smiled at this and clapped. Now that was awesome. Kira gave a smile. You think so? She asked. Oh come, would I be lying to you? He gave his fox grin, making the Yellow Ranger flush a little red. No. She laughed softly, making him chuckle. They were silent for a few seconds till Kira spoke. Thanks for listening to me. Naruto smiled at her. No problem, I always enjoy you singing, you're great. He complimented. Kira blushed at the compliment until she had remembered wanting to ask him something that's been personally bugging her. She took a breath. Naruto. Gaining his attention. Yeah? The former shinobi looked at her. I was just wondering if there was anything between you and Tori. The Yellow Ranger came out with it. Naruto was taken a little back at this and paused. Was there anything going on between him and Tori? Sure, he has helped and taught her about chakra and they have hanged out a lot, but was there anything more? He was going to answer, but his morpher beeped. Naruto, it's Connor, you there? He lifted his morpher. Yeah, I'm with Kira at the park. What's up? Naruto asked. It's Dr. O, grimly replied the Red Ranger. Naruto felt a chill down his spine and Kira was wide-eyed at this. What happened? She asked. You both gotta see for yourself, come back to the lab. Connor said. Naruto and Kira got up quickly and rushed. Dino lab. Is he okay? Ethan inquired as Haley ran the scanner up and down the length of the currently fossilized Dr. Oliver. Kimberly was being comforted by Kira while Naruto was pacing back and forth in anger. This internal scan should be able to tell us what we need. Haley stated. What's the deal? Is he frozen or something? Connor asked. Not exactly, it's more like he's fossilized, fused into this amber-like substance. Said Haley as she turned to them. Can you get him out? Naruto questioned, hoping for something positive. Too risky, Haley shook her head. He's able to stay alive in there. But I'd hate to think what would happen if I broke him out. This is just a sick joke. Connor said with venom. Yeah, that White Ranger got a great sense of humor. Muttered Ethan. Personally, I've had enough of him, Kira spat, glancing up at Naruto, who was completely recovered from his injuries after his last fight. Let's find out who this guy is and deal with him once and for all, now. Naruto said sternly as his eyes burned with anger, averting his eyes from the worried look Kira sent at him. Trent stumbled around the outer warehouse building, groaning as pain shot up inside him. His ears rang slightly and he half tripped on his own foot, leaning against a metal moving container for support. I remember, he stated guiltily as he looked at the white Dino Gem attached to his wrist. Flashes of everything that had happened to him since he'd found the gem went across his mind and he groaned as his body threatened to collapse. He was snapped back to reality by a faint terror scream in his head and blinked. "This can't be happening," he breathed. "Maybe Haley's got some ideas," Ethan stated as he, Kira, Naruto and Connor walked into cyberspace. They looked up to see the Redeed rushing from one end of the counter to the other, passing drinks out left, right and center. "Looks like she's got her hands full," Naruto said. "Well, let's hit the streets," Connor suggested. "I mean, it's not like the White Ranger's just gonna walk in here." Just then Trent pushed past by the group, elbowing his way between Naruto and Kira as he walked towards the bar. "Hey Trent." Kira greeted him happily. "Hey," he replied distantly, continuing on towards Haley's counter. The Yellow Ranger's smile dropped and she looked to the floor before walking off to sit at the bar, trying to hide her momentary sadness from her friends. "He's acting weird," Naruto narrowed his eyebrows while clenching his fist, restraining from beating the respect out the boy. An exchanged look from Ethan and Connor as they saw the clenched fist. They then followed Kira to sit down. "Hey." Trent called over the bustling crowd, catching Haley's attention. "Hey, thank goodness, I'm getting slammed here. Haley, listen, I gotta talk to you." "Later," she ordered as she walked back towards the Rangers, grabbing a tray of glasses as Trent followed her. "Grab a tray." "I can't," he shook his head. "I'm quitting." Haley faltered and nearly dropped the tray were it not for Naruto hand reaching over the bar to steady it. She flashed a thankful smile her way before going off down the bar, Trent following on the outside edge. "Why? Trouble with your dad again?" "No," he replied. "It's not that. I just..." He sighed, seeing as she busily walked back towards the Rangers again, getting their orders while they watched the whole ordeal. "I just have to quit," he exclaimed before sighing again. "I'm sorry." Leaving Haley looking hurt and puzzled, he set off towards the door. Frowning, Kira got up from her seat, ignoring the protests Naruto sent after her. "Hey, wait a minute." Kira called, catching up to Trent at the door. "You're just gonna bail on Haley like that?" "Yeah, I know it seems sudden. Don't you think you owe her some kind of explanation?" Kira inquired, hoping he understood that she wanted one too. "You don't understand. Kira, something weird's happened. And I feel like if I don't tell someone, my head's going to explode," angrily said Trent. "Well, what is it? You can tell me," softly said Kira. He hesitated before sighing and opening his mouth to Cassidy burst in, excusing herself not at all nicely as she stalked through the crowd and up onto stage. Glaring at the back of her head, Kira wished she could use her terror scream to knock the annoying reporter on her ass. "I have the scoop of the century," Cassidy announced, stepping up to the microphone. "And as my faithful core audience, I wanted to share it with you guys first." "What do you think this is about?" Ethan chuckled. "Maybe she's decided to run for queen," Kira suggested, smirking. "I have uncovered the identity of the one and only White Ranger," Cassidy cried, and excited murmurs spread through the crowd. Trent's head snapped up, eyes full of worry. The other Rangers, however, exchanged glances of pure shock. How had she managed to get to the White Ranger's identity before they did? And if she knew about the White Ranger, what about them? Did she know about them, too? "And any minute now my assistant Devon's going to come through that door with videotape evidence." The blonde onstage pointed towards the door, where some people looked. However, nothing happened. "Any minute." Silence settled in the room and the reporter frowned. "Where is he?" Devon burst through the door, looking around wildly and spotting Cassidy onstage. He waved happily and ran over to her as quickly as possible. "Hey, Cass, I'm here. Sorry, I'm late." "So?" She rolled her eyes as he climbed onstage. "Devon, where's your camera?" "See, that might be just a little problem," Devon sighed. "Only if you don't have it." He grinned sheepishly before leaning in closer to whisper something only Cassidy heard. Cassidy groaned, turning back to the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began. "It appears that the White Ranger is..." The suspense in the cafe was killer and all Rangers looked high-strung. Taped on a camera that Devon stupidly loaned his sister. She finished in vain and everyone in the cafe groaned, most returning to their previous occupations. "But when he gets it back I'll be sure to let you know." "So, Trent," Kira started, wanting to resume their earlier conversation. "What was it you wanted to?" She turned, realizing he was gone, and scanned the cafe with her eyes, finding no sign of him. She sighed, rolling her eyes as she returned to her spot with the others. "Did he bail on you?" Naruto asked. "Yeah, again," the musician frowned, shrugging. "Whatever. If he doesn't want to tell me, he just has to say it. He doesn't have to go and never mind." "It's happening again," Trent moaned, swaying profusely as he clutched the wrist with the Dino Gem. He struggled for control, but it was no use. The gem glowed as it won the upper hand and he was forced to morph. "Now, that's better." The White Ranger smirked, walking around the dock's warehouses. A weird sound caught his attention and he glanced left as Elsa and Zeltrax teleported in through a bright flash of swirling green. "Looks like I've got company." "We have a special invitation for you," Elsa called. From Mesagog. His only command, "Join him or be destroyed," Zeltrax added, fists clenched. "I don't know how many times I have to say it," the White Ranger laughed. "I'm not interested." "Maybe this will change your mind," Zeltrax growled, sending waves of bright blue electricity in the direction of the ranger before he and Elsa drew their weapons and charged. Dragozord in hand, the White Ranger met them halfway. He easily dodged Zeltrax's attack, knocking the man away as Elsa came in close with her sword, locking it against the Dragozord. "Haven't we met?" The ranger taunted, making her hiss in anger as he twisted her around, flooring her. He then turned to meet Zeltrax again, parrying all his sword attacks and kicking him in the gut. He slashed him across the chest as well, and it sent him flying into a pack of barrels as Elsa ran up, attempting some ninja karate anger management type on him that basically did nothing before he kicked her backwards into the arms of the newly rising Zeltrax. "You guys are a joke." The White Ranger cackled as 4 other rangers rode up on raptor cycles, and glances shifted their way. "Great, that's all we need," Elsa muttered. "Don't look so happy to see us," Naruto commented and had his eye on the White Ranger. This is messed, but whose side do we pick?" Ethan asked, seeing the 3 enemies. "Good question." Nod Connor. "We'll make it easy for you," Elsa yelled before she and Zeltrax warped out in a flash of green. "If you had any sense, you'd run too." The White Ranger turned to them. "After what you did?" Naruto growled, fists clenching, and his dragon shield was summoned as was the dagger. "Dream on." Kira nodded, summoning her Ptera grips. Ethan and Connor were first up, Tyranno staff and Tricera shield in hand as they dueled their enemy. Unfortunately, the White Rangers had blocked the attacks from Connor and had grasped the staff and spun the Red Ranger with extreme force and smashed him into Ethan. Naruto was next, using his dragon sword since it was in close fighting. He leapt through the air and clashed swords with the White Ranger. Naruto had been working on his sword skills ever since the dragon sword was made. He had improved much since. Sparks flew between the rangers as they exchanged attacks. The White Ranger went for a slash, but Naruto blocked it with his dagger and slashed across the ranger's chest 3 times and kicked him back. Last came the Yellow Ranger, who held her own for a time, even with all the hits she took, barreling into the White Ranger with her Ptera grips and trying to stab him. As she swung her daggers forward, he blocked them with his Dragozord and pushed her in reverse until her back connected with the warehouse wall. "Hard." She cried out, but took the pain as he kept her pinned there and leaned forward. "Had enough?" mocked the ranger. She looked to her 2 friends who were lying around hurt and saw Naruto charging at the ranger. She was tired of being helpless, tired of being weak. Her expression turned to fury. "Hardly," she yelled. "Super Dino mode." The Ptera scream ripped through the air as the spikes on her uniform grew into realistic versions of the design they'd just been, and as she held her Ptera grip straight out, leathery wings formed between her sides and underarms. She swung her arms up, knocking his arms away and kicking him to the ground. As he rolled backwards and pushed himself to his feet, she leapt over him, flapping her leathery wings and wrapping her feet around his neck. She then proceeded to drag him back, smashing him into every possible object she could find along the way. After a few feet, she dropped him into a stack of barrels and continued on. "You'll pay for that," he hissed, getting to his feet and creating arrows in the air. As she flew back his way, he let loose the projectiles. Luckily, Naruto jumped in, playing the flute dagger as a green aura shield protecting them. Connor and Ethan got up, having recovered, and drew their Thundermax lasers. They fired 2 different colored blasts at the White Ranger, who merely with a flick of his wrist with his Dragozord and sent arrows at them, resulting in an explosion, knocking them off their feet. Naruto stepped in. "I've had enough. You have caused enough pain to my friends, and most importantly to my sensei. That's unforgivable," he yelled, channeling his inner Dino power. Super Dino mode. The gold spikes on his uniform grew again to large spike around his shoulder and legs. The dragon shield had the Dino Thunder symbol. Naruto summoned out his Velox talons. "Here I come," Naruto said, charging at insane speed and slashing the ranger across the chest multiple times, causing sparks to erupt. He then jumped in mid-air with his weapons out and came down hard with another slash, sending the White Ranger back. Growling angrily, he got up. Seeing the Green Ranger stop, he sent a blast of arrows his way that almost took him off his feet, but Naruto with the instincts flipped backwards, disappearing in a flash. Once down, the evil ranger readied another blast but felt a shot in the back. He turned slowly, glaring as he found the Yellow Ranger pointing the laser directly at him. "You're a little too persistent, and I think it's about time we tone that down a bit," he muttered, creating the biggest volley of arrows he ever had. "Fire." Naruto appeared as he grabbed Kira bridal style and disappeared in green flash just in time as the arrow projectiles hit the ground, causing a big explosion. They appeared behind the ranger and Naruto set Kira down. "Thanks," she told him. "No problem, now let's take care of this creep." Naruto said, getting in his stance still in his Super Dino mode. "You read my mind." Kira with her Super Dino mode stance. Both Rangers charged at the evil Ranger, as did he, and they battled out with Naruto going defense and Kira going offense, which made it difficult for the Ranger, until Naruto and Kira switched it up as they did the opposite. Naruto managed to land 2 slashes, and the Ranger tried to attack back, but with Kira defending that was not happening. They both had side-kicked the evil Ranger far back as he landed on his stomach grunting at the pain. Getting up quickly, the Ranger created and sent dozens of arrows to the two, but Naruto played his dagger flute, summoning dozens of shuriken which clashed against the arrows, creating a small explosion and smoke. The White Ranger tried to see through the smoke. Unfortunately, out came the smoke was the Yellow Ranger, who glided by and quickly slashed, making him stumble back to where Naruto jumped out the smoke, landing 2 slashes, sending the Ranger away. Kira stood next to Naruto. "You still want some?" he taunted. "Cause there's plenty more where that came from." The Yellow Ranger joined. The evil Ranger stood up as he had enough. "That's it. It's time I finish you two for good," snarled the Ranger as he lifted his sword. "Huh?" He stopped as images of Kira and moments she shared with Trent flashed across his mind. "Kira?" he said, soft, but enough for her to hear it, causing her to frown. That voice sounded familiar while Naruto started to get suspicious at this. Trent and the evil White Gem battled for control, and it sent rivulets of pain through his head. He cursed, holding his head, and it was enough for the other 2 Rangers to gather. "Ready?" Connor inquired, itching to beat the crap out of this guy. "Oh yeah." Ethan nodded, and together the two shouted Super Dino mode. Naruto watched as the white spikes grew on the uniforms of both boys, the horns on Ethan's helmet grew bigger and sharper, and a glowing red power circled around Connor. Both boys ran forward while Naruto joined with them and launched themselves at the disoriented White Ranger, knocking him to the ground. As he stood up slowly, they tag-teamed, kicking and punching and sending sparks flying from the White Ranger's body until one massive explosion of power went off, sending the injured enemy Ranger to his knees. They all powered out of Super Dino mode, watching him. "I'll be back," he swore, before running off. The boys started after him, but Naruto put his arm out, stopping them as he knew the enemy was far gone. "We'll be waiting," Naruto lowly growled with his fists clenched before he, Ethan and Connor powered down. He turned to see Kira, who also powered down. He walked to her as the other 2 followed. Naruto asked, "You alright?" "Yeah, I'm alright," Kira nodded as she smiled as she looked at where the Ranger disappeared, and a frown appeared on her face. "Trent? Is that you?" Kira inquired as she slowly walked towards the small lake clearing, a place she often went to write music or clear her head. The guy sitting on the bench looked up, closing his sketchbook as she sat down beside him. "Hey, where'd you go?" "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have just taken off like that," he apologized to her. "Look, I can't help you if I don't know what's going on," she said in concern. He sighed, opening his sketchbook to a recent few drawings of the White Ranger. "Trent," she scoffed. "If you're gonna dream about being a superhero, the White Ranger is not who you wanna be." "I wish I had a choice," he exclaimed. "What are you saying?" She frowned as fear pounded in her chest. He glanced up from his sketchbook, offering a sad and pained look before reaching his arm out, revealing the white Dino Gem bracelet on his left wrist. "You?" she exclaimed, and as he nodded, her frown turned into a furious glare. "But you almost annihilated me." "But I didn't. Look, once I knew it was you." She cut him off by standing up quickly, and he reached out to grab her hand and stop her. "Let go of me," she snapped, wrenching her arm free of his grasp. 1 minute earlier. Naruto wanted to hang out with Kira, but the Yellow said she was tired after the fight, which he couldn't blame her. After all, that White Ranger is no joke, so deciding if Tori was available, which she was, they met up and hung out. He was right now taking her to a small lake that he found that was perfect for working on her water jutsus. "Any luck freeing your teacher and finding out that evil Ranger?" Tori asked as she recalled him telling her a couple days ago of an appearance of a evil White Ranger and Tommy being fossilized. "Nothing yet, and we still don't know who this Ranger is, but we kicked his sorry ass all over the place today," Naruto remarked with a grin, making the former water ninja Storm Ranger giggle. As they were near the lake, they heard a conversation. "Trent," she scoffed. "If you're gonna dream about being a superhero, the White Ranger is not who you wanna be." "Kira?" Naruto stopped, as did Tori, and hid behind some trees and checked to see what's going on. When they heard about the White Ranger, their ears perked up. "Who's that guy?" quietly Tori asked. "Trent, he works or used to work at Haley's cyberspace," Naruto answered low. "I wish I had a choice," he exclaimed. Naruto's eyes narrowed at the tone, something was not right. "What are you saying?" Kira frowned. The two had saw Trent showing Kira something. "You?" out loud Kira said. Tori's eyes went wide at this while Naruto fist clenched, making his knuckles pop. He should have known. "But you almost annihilated me," she shouted in anger. But I didn't. Look, once I knew it was you, Trent tried to explain. She cut him off by standing up quickly and he reached out to grab her hand and stop her. Let go of me. She snapped, wrenching her arm free of his grasp. Naruto was about to step out the tree, but Tori saw this and told him to wait and to listen more. Kira, I couldn't help it. He told her. The gem, it's changed me. I can't take it off or control what I'm doing. You gotta believe me. He stepped closer to her, but she shook her head slightly, keeping her distance. Why should I? Because I would never intentionally hurt anyone, Kira, he sighed, his voice full of sadness and regret. Especially you. Naruto scoffed silently at the last statement. Okay, she gave in, because the tone of his voice and the pained look on his face struck chords in her heart. I think I know some people who can help. I'm gonna get Connor, Naruto and Ethan. Why them? He asked with a frown. Well, because, she trailed off, hoping it was obvious. Wait a minute, them too? He asked in surprise. Hard to believe, but true. She nodded. Look, I need you to wait here till I come back. She said. Okay, he promised, before she ran off. Naruto and Tori hid as Kira ran by them. Naruto grabbed Tori's shoulder and disappeared in a green flash, appearing somewhere around. Looks like we found our White Ranger. He said. But you heard him, he said he wasn't in control. Do you think he's telling the truth? Tori asked him. Naruto was pondering about this. He's had dealt with people being controlled so many times that he can know if they are lying or not. But with Kira thrown in the situation, this makes it more difficult. Honestly, I'm not sure. Never have I heard a ranger being controlled by their own power, but at the same time there's more to these gems. Naruto looked at his own. Personally, I think you should help him, but even so you should keep your eye on him too. She suggested, as she knows how Naruto feels knowing someone you know turns out to be an evil ranger. Take it from her. Naruto nodded. Yeah, that's what I was thinking that too. I better head back to the lab. Do want to ride home? She shook her head. I'm alright, I can use the walk. Naruto gave a fox smile. Alright then, tomorrow here at noon? He asked her. She nodded and walked up to him and did something he did not expect. She gave a kiss to his cheek. Naruto did not expect that from her, but it felt nice, real nice. He tried to not give a goofy grin, but it failed. He soon teleported away before he looked more like an idiot. Trent sighed, hoping Kira's words were true and that the others would help him. He had a feeling that at least one wouldn't be too pleased to accept, and he figured that Naruto would probably never trust him again after that last battle, where he'd been so set upon taking Kira out as the White Ranger. He set to work on another sketch to clear his head when a net came crashing down over him and he was pulled to his feet by a horde of pteranodrons. The bench fell over and his sketches went flying to the ground as he was pulled further away. What do you want? He yelled. Let go of me. The pteranodrons flashed away with Trent in a green portal. At the lab. Naruto came down the stairs and saw Kira talking to the boys, telling them about Trent being the evil ranger. Trent? Ethan frowned. Oh, there's no way. What's this about Trent? Naruto asked, pretending to be clueless. Turns out our so-called friend is the White Ranger. Grimly said Ethan. Nice, Naruto scoffed, coming up to the group. Pretending to be our friend 1 minute and kicking our butts the next. I can't believe I didn't see it sooner. I told you, he can't help it. Kira protested, frowning at Naruto's newfound hatred for Trent. The gem is too powerful. Stop defending him. Naruto snapped, his eye blinked red back to blue, pointing over her shoulder. Kira, where is in your head? Look at what he did to Sensei. She winced at his attitude before turning to see the fossilized Black Ranger a little ways away. She turned back to her friends, seeing a look of disappointment on Ethan's and Connor's face and the anger on Naruto's. Instead, she turned to the Redeed standing with them. Haley? She inquired. He needs our help. I don't know if there's anything I can do, she sighed. But I'll try. The Redeed turned towards the staircase, followed by Kira and the other 3 rangers. When Kira threw them a look, Naruto merely scoffed. What, you think we're not coming along? I've got some stuff I'd like to say to that guy. Us too, Connor and Ethan nodded, but Naruto's statement held aggression. He was supposed to wait right here. Kira exclaimed as they ran up to the lake clearing, spotting the overturned bench. She found the sketchbook and picked it up, examining it. There's a surprise, Ethan muttered. He lied to us again. Naruto stepped up to the Yellow Ranger. Kira, I'm telling you, Trent can't be trusted, he stated, and she looked up from the book to the worried and pleading face of the Green Ranger. Indecision was etched on her face. I'm picking up White Ranger's signal. Haley called, and the 4 rangers dispersed around the ranger base ran to the computer, watching intently over her shoulder. They saw the White Ranger jump on screen and call forth a Dragozord and Stegozord, jumping into them to form the Dino Stegozord. Great, major Megazord action right off the bat, Ethan groaned. Well, this might be a good time to use a new Dinozord, Haley stated. Let's do it. Naruto nodded and Ethan and Connor got into formation, an uncertain Kira following them. Connor and Ethan raised their morphers at the ready. Naruto turned his yellow teammate. Look Kira, we've gotta do whatever it takes to stop him, you know that, right? He needs to be stopped, no matter what. I know, she sighed. Even if you know who's under that suit now? Naruto inquired, meeting her hazel eyes with his blue ones. I don't like it, but we don't have a choice, Kira nodded, seeing the determination and sympathy that his eyes demonstrated, even if moments ago they'd been filled with anger and frustration. I'm with you. Alright, he stated. He returned to formation. He raised his morpher. Ready? Ready? The others nodded. Dino Thunder, power up. Ha. The Rangers ran across the open parking lot, rushing towards the Zords Haley had manually called forth. Spotting their Biozords, they jumped into the air, quickly forming the Megazord. Naruto didn't join as he summoned his dagger. I need Dragonzord power. He played the dagger. Near the ocean, a pair of glowing red eyes traveled through the bubbling water. Soon the Dragonzord roared as it rose out of the deep and whipped its drill tail. Naruto jumped on a high building playing the dagger as the Dragonzord stood by the Megazord. The two Zords and the Dino Stegazord faced one another from opposing ends of the street. Haley sent the Ankylazord to the battle. The new Dinozord, huh? The White Ranger inquired. I'll add it to my collection. I don't think so. Connor yelled, and both Megazords marched towards the auxiliary Zord in the middle, rushing to get there first. The Dino Stegazord grabbed the tail, and the Megazord held the head, pulling towards one another. Time to use some firepower. Naruto played a note on the flute dagger. The red lights on the Dragonzord chest blinked, making beeping noises, and out the fingertip were 10 rockets that shot at the Stegazord, making it let go of the Ankylazord. As the Zord got out of the way, the Megazords rushed forward to clash with one another. Sparks flew between both Zord formations as hits landed all over. As his friend steered the Megazord to battle the Dino Stegazord, Naruto grabbed his morpher. Come on buddy, work with me, we can kick major ass. He concentrated. The Ankylazord's eyes flashed and it thundered forward when the Megazord fell to the ground. It raised its tail and fired off a powerful laser that smashed into the Dino Stegazord, knocking it back a few paces. Awesome. Naruto exclaimed as the Megazord got to its feet. Alright guys, I think our little orange buddy is on our side. Well then, let's see what he can do, Ethan nodded. Take it away guys. Ankylazord, weapon formation. Naruto called. The small orange Zord bounded forward, molding itself into the Megazord's formation. It replaced the Triceratop arm, creating a large spear-like arm with a sharp spinning disc at its side. When the Dino Stegazord fired off lasers at them, Naruto directed the Ankylazord arm to block it, the spinning disc acting like a reflective mirror as the lasers bounced off and were sent back from whence they came, smashing into the Dino Stegazord. Naruto continued the assault as he played the dagger, making the Dragonzord charge at the Mega Stegazord, whipping, its tail striking twice with a drill tip and a kick sending it back. As it faltered through the explosions and sparks, the Megazord ran forward, spearing it with the Ankylazord arm, then the Tyrannozord arm. Thundersaurus Megazord. Double drill attack. The team exclaimed. Both the Tyrannozord arm and the Ankylazord arm were thrust into action again, spinning faster and faster as they were smashed against the Dino Stegazord. Electricity sparked between the weapons as they battered their opponent until one final hit from the Ankylazord arm was all it took to send the Dino Stegazord into the ground. Don't think this is over. The White Ranger vowed as his Megazord broke apart into the two separate pieces and he, along with his Zords, vanished. Naruto was at Haley cyberspace with Tori. Thought I might see you two here. Naruto heard and looked to see Ethan and Connor. I thought Kira would be here, where is she? Naruto asked them. At home, she said after the whole fiasco with the White Ranger being Trent. Connor was cut off as Ethan elbowed him in the ribs and pointed at Tori. Tori knows. Naruto answered, surprising them. How? Ethan asked. Naruto and Tori sat on some couches as did the guys across and explained to them about him and Tori accidentally listening in between Kira and Trent. So what are we going to do? Ethan asks. If we see him we contact each other. Naruto said. Then what? Connor questioned. We question him. Find out if he's telling the truth. And if he's not. The Red Ranger said. But we'll have to be prepared. Solemnly Naruto said. Kira sighed, watching the family of ducks bob for food in the lake. She held one of Trent's White Ranger drawings in her hands and stared at it intently, wishing that it could all be a nightmare, just a horrible dream that had never happened. I thought I might find you here, a voice said, and she turned to see Trent standing there, smiling a little sadly. Why didn't you wait for me? She questioned. I did, it's a long story, he stated, looking down at the drawing she held. You know it's funny, I always thought it would be cool to be a superhero. But this isn't how I'd draw myself. Look, let us help you, she stated, but he shook his head. I don't think the others want to help me, Kira, he sighed. After what I did, all the pain I caused and put you through, do you honestly think your friends wanna help me? Ethan and Connor do, Kira told him. Ethan doesn't wanna lose a friend, and Connor wants to make things right. And Naruto? Trent chuckled darkly. I'm sure he doesn't wanna help. I'm pretty sure he'd rather have me permanently transform into the evil White Ranger so he can beat the crap out of me for trying to hurt you. Don't say that. Kira scolded. It's the truth. He shouted. Naruto's not one to never hold a grudge. It might take him some time, but I think he'd be fine with helping you get rid of the White Ranger. I know he would. You sure about that? He inquired, looking her in the eyes. She stammered. Maybe he does, but I know that he'll just have to deal with it. I'll talk him out of this hatred, you watch. No, I can't, Trent shook his head. The gem's already taken over just like he said. Who? She frowned, aware that Naruto hadn't said such a thing yet. It doesn't matter. I have to go away. It's not safe to be around me. But. Look, I said no. He yelled, snatching the drawing from her hands and walking off. He tossed the drawing into the water and left, leaving an emotionally hurt and broken Yellow Ranger to watch him go. In the woods. With a huge backpack, Trent stumbled through the forest not far from the central part of Riverside, wanting to get out of town as soon as possible. Sweating, panting and struggling to keep hold of his own mind, he brought a GPS out of his pocket. Staring at it, he shook his head. I gotta get further away, he stated, looking at the glowing white Dino Gem attached to his left wrist. It's not safe. Hold it there, White Ranger. Someone yelled and Trent ducked into the ditch beside a tree, eyes wide and full of fear. He leaned out from behind the tree, looking up onto the hill where he saw Cassidy and Devon standing. No, don't worry, Cass, it's just Trent, Devon chuckled. Geez, Trent sighed, standing up. You scared me half to death. Whatever, I thought you were the White Ranger. Cassidy snapped. Me? Trent laughed. You're kidding, right? No, I didn't actually think you were the White Ranger, Cassidy elaborated. I thought. Look out. Trent shouted, pointing behind them, and they ducked as a huge meteor went flying past, its purple trail following it as it crashed nearby, causing a massive explosion. Cassidy and Devon rolled down the hill, landing at Trent's feet as he stared after the meteor. What the heck was that? A low-flying spaceship? Devon suggested. I dunno, but whatever it was just landed over there. Cassidy pointed to the smoke filling out of the crater. Grab your camera. Wait. Trent protested, holding them back. It could be dangerous. Danger's my middle name, Cassidy smiled before running off. I thought it was Agnes. Devon frowned while following. I'm gonna regret this, Trent sighed, picking up his backpack and following them. Ranger Base. The team including Haley and Kimberly were down in the lab looking over Tommy. Connor was juggling his soccer, Ethan was playing games on his laptop, Kira was strumming her guitar looking a little down. Seeing this, Naruto walked over and sat by her. How are you doing? He asked, sitting down beside Kira, who continued to strum at her guitar, working on a new song. What do you mean? She retorted, and both knew very well that she knew he was referring to the incident with Trent a few days ago. Look, Kira, I'm just concerned is all. I know how you feel with the whole situation going on, trust me. I just don't want to see you get hurt more is all, he stated. She sighed, looking up at him. Can we not talk about this, please? She asked. I'm busy. The former shinobi sighed and respected her space, knowing she was still upset from the truth, not that he blamed her. This feels like deja vu all over again when Sasuke left the village, leaving a heartbroken Sakura. The memories of his old home flashed in his head, but he shook it away knowing it was not the time. He went to Kimberly and Haley, who was scanning a fossilized Tommy. McKnight, on a breakaway. Connor narrated while going around the other part of the Ranger base. Ethan sat at his laptop playing a video game. Naruto. One more level and I break my all-time record. Ethan stated proudly, and Connor looked up over the side of a box, grinning. Aiming, he tossed his little red soccer ball, causing it to hit the escape key on the laptop, which shut off the game. Chuckling, he went to retrieve it as Ethan groaned. Connor. The computer geek whined. Now I have to start all over. Sorry, the Red Ranger chuckled, patting Ethan on the back. You know, there's this great new thing called the outdoors. You might want to check it out. Tell you what, Ethan smirked as they walked to a part of the Ranger base near Kira. I'll check that out when you check out a library. Connor grinned, glancing over at the Yellow Ranger who strummed away on her guitar. You've got about as much chance of seeing that than seeing Kira at a fashion show. Do you really want to go there? Kira looking up from her guitar and glared. Connor gulped, looking back to Ethan who chuckled and patted him on the shoulder before walking off. Nice, he shook his head as he walked found Haley. So, any luck of defossilizing Dr. O? Kimberly shook her head sadly. Not yet, the retreat sighed. I just can't find an energy source that can safely break the molecular bonds of the amber. "Do you think my partner's chakra can break it?" asked Naruto. "I'm not sure if it will be safe, I'll have to look over it and see what I can find," she told him. Suddenly the computer's alarm went off and a tracking program came on screen. The Rangers got up to follow Haley as she went over and sat down. "That's weird," she stated as a large purple glow appeared amidst a sea of green trees. The satellite's picking up a strange reading from the forest. "Let's go take a look," Naruto offered. She nodded as the other three followed him out. "Be careful, there may be a possibility that Mesagog's goons will show too," Kimberly told them. They nodded and left quickly. "We're the first on the scene," Cassidy exclaimed gleefully as she, Devon and Trent arrived at the crater where the meteor had landed. "There it is. Devon, start rolling." "Careful," Trent warned, but Cassidy pushed her cameraman forward. "It's harmless," she insisted. "Now get a close-up." "You sure, Cass?" He frowned. "I mean it's still smoking." "Oh, looks good on camera though." "What do you think it is?" she asked. Trent crouched at the edge of the crater to examine it. He was forced to hide his wrist in his sleeve when his Dino Gem began to pulse bright white light. "It's hard to say," Devon stated. "Trent." Kira frowned, and the former cyberspace busboy looked up to see her approaching, followed closely by Connor, Naruto, and Ethan. "What are you guys doing here?" he asked, standing up. "I might ask you the same thing," Naruto's eyes narrowed. "Haven't seen you around for a while." The Green Ranger took a menacing step forward. "Yeah, we really need to catch up," added a seethed Connor. Kira placed a hand on Naruto's chest to stop him from moving. "Not now, please," she pleaded. He looked down into her hazel eyes and calmed down. He took a step back. "Kira's right," he stated, looking at White Ranger. "Might as well check this thing out." I don't think I'm supposed to let you do that," a monster gurgled, and the group looked over to see a horde of pteranodrons and a funny-looking creature had just appeared. "Quick, run," Cassidy yelled, and she and Devon took off as more pteranodrons encircled the group of rangers. They hid behind a tree, turning to watch what would happen. "Do you want me to get this?" he offered, bringing up his camera. "Hideous mutant creatures," she scoffed. "Like that's news in this town. Let's get out of here." They ran off and were unaware as two purple strands of energy drifted out from the meteor, following them and slipping into their bodies as they buggered off. The Rangers were left in a circle of pteranodrons. "You better choose the right side today, Trent," Naruto inquired acidly. "Do you want my help or not?" Trent countered. "If it's all the same, I'll just watch from over here," the cowardly monster stated as the pteranodrons rushed forward. The Rangers dispersed around the pit, taking on a handful of lizard creatures each. Even in civilian form, the pteranodrons were no match for the Rangers as they knocked back a whole wave of them within minutes. Naruto gave a combination of punches and a roundhouse kick, sending an enemy crashing into a tree. His Dino Gem bracelet beeped and he turned on the comm link while kicking another enemy away. "Go, Haley. I've been beepizing the radiation from that rock and it's really freaky. Get away from it." "It's a little late for that," Kira replied, hearing what Haley said, kicking a monster in the gut and knocking it to the ground. She was close enough to the pit to hear the monster rambling on. The meteor shoots purple energy at the creature, turning it aggressive. It stood up, voice deeper and more menacing than before. "Hey, I want a piece of the action," it yelled and rushed towards Naruto, who had his back turned while battling the pteranodrons. "Naruto," Kira called, but it came too late as the monster smashed its thick mace-like arm into the Green Ranger's back. He cried out as he rolled forward and kept his momentum up to get back to his knees, at least despite the pain in his back. She, Connor and Ethan joined him and the singer placed a hand on his shoulder without noticing it. "You thinking what I'm thinking?" Connor stated. Naruto standing up slowly. "Yeah," the other two nodded and their morphers flashed into place as they raised their wrists. "Dino Thunder, power up." "Ha!" The team morphed into their ranger form. "Attack!" the monster yelled as the morphed rangers came at him. Pteranodrons. While the four rangers easily fended off a bunch of pteranodrons, Trent fought against another few near the meteor, still in civilian form, because he knew what would happen if he changed, and there was no way he was going through with that again. He was so into the fight that he didn't notice as a purple beam shot up from the meteor, passing into his body as he ducked the bunch of a monster. He pushed away another pteranodron before he swayed and began to feel lightheaded. His vision blurred and his eyes widened. "Oh no," he breathed. As he grabbed his backpack, the meteor sent 4 more beams of purple out from it, each one spiriting away and into the body of the 3 rangers as they fought, but for unknown reason Naruto was unharmed. The 3 faltered in fighting a moment before kicking it up a notch. The monster took a few steps back along with his drones as the rangers regrouped. "I'll be back for round 2. It shouted before disappearing in a flash of green. "Power down," the rangers yelled, changing back into their civilian form. "Well, that was a challenging altercation," Connor stated. "I was just getting started," Ethan complained. "I wanted to annihilate that goon." You. Kira exclaimed, looking at her nails. I got dirt under my nails. That's like, totally disgusting. Naruto notices this and raised an eyebrow especially to Kira, knowing she would never complain about getting dirty. He looked to find their other guests but. Where'd Trent go? He frowned looking around. Suddenly their Dino Gem bracelets went off and Haley told them to go back to base as she had info on the space rock. Space rock? They questioned. Back at the base. It's actually a meteor fragment, Haley told them as the image on screen depicted the rock they'd been sent to investigate. Fascinating, Connor grinned and Haley's face twisted in confusion as she watched him walk off, thinking aloud. It must have broken off during some sort of galactic collision. He paused, seeing the confused looks the others were giving him as well. What? I think that meteor may have caused you guys some effects, Kimberly said worriedly. Do you feel okay? Actually I feel just fine, what about you three? Naruto asked. Ethan ignored him, staring at his arms as he flexed them, Kira grimaced. I for one am going home, the Yellow Ranger stated. If I don't swab my cuticles in an aloe bath, my nails will never grow back. I gotta hit the gym, Ethan added. Gonna work on my pecs. I wanna get home to watch that great documentary on the pyramids, Connor put in. It looks quite fascinating. The others nodded and together they left. Haley, Kimberly and Naruto watched them go, worry etched onto their features. Oh. The girls both said. Not good, Dadabeo. Naruto said. The next day at the park. Naruto had gone to the park after getting a text from Tori about hanging out today. He wanted to decline due to his team acting strange yesterday, but he knew Haley can find out what's wrong with them. He saw the former Ninja Ranger arriving and gave a wave. Good thing I'm not late. He joked, making her smile. Well, I would have come sooner, but Dustin and Shane wanted to talk. She rolled her eyes. They began to walk around. Let me guess, being overprotective. He laughed, making her slap his arm. Shut up. She laughed with him. Well, at least they care about you, that's the kind of people you want to have around, you're lucky you have them as teammates, Naruto said. She nods, agreeing with him. Yeah, I am. So how's it been going on with the White Ranger? Well, we managed to actually push him back. Kira though is still down about it being Trent and wants to help him, he said, with a little scowl expression which didn't go unnoticed. I understand how she feels, I went through the same situation before, I'm not saying to help him, but you should try while being cautious at the same time, Tori advised. Naruto had thought about it, he knew in this kind of situation, there was no time for jealousy or any childish act. But just like Tori said, he should be cautious. Yeah, you're right, thanks Tori-chan. He gave his trademark fox grin which she found very cute. Hopefully they're back to normal, he added. She looked at him with a confused look. He began to explain about the space rock that his team found with the encounter of Trent and Mesagog's new creature, the side effects that his teammate have. Why aren't you feeling the effects? She asked. I think it may have something to do with my partner's chakra fighting it back. Naruto shrugged as he guessed. If you manage to get a piece of the meteor, let me know, I can have Cam take a look at it and maybe he can find something, she told him. Good idea, Naruto said, having met Cam before, who was the technology genius for the Ninja Storm Rangers. His Dino bracelet beeped, making the two stop. He took it. Go. Naruto, sorry if I'm interrupting you, but can you meet me at the base? Haley asked. He looked up at Tori, who gave a small smile and mouthed go. Yeah, I'll be there, he said and signed off. Well, you should get going, she told him. Yeah, hey, what you doing tonight? He asked her. Nothing, why? She asked. Naruto tried not to choke up and took a breath. Well, I was thinking when this is over, do you want to see a movie? The Water Ranger's eyes widened at the question. Was he asking her out on a date? No, maybe just as friends. Yeah, that was it maybe. She smiled at him. That sounds great. The former shinobi was shocked at the answer that was given. Great then, I'll pick you up around 8. Sound like a plan, she said and came closer to him. The two looked each other in the eyes, both thinking of one word: beautiful. Before Naruto asked something, a pair of lips smashed into his, making him eye-wide. He didn't know what to do. A few seconds passed and Tori broke from it. She had a dreamy expression that lasted only a second when she realized what she did. Blushing a deep red, she ran off. Tori, wait. Naruto called to stop her, but she was gone. He sighed and brushed his hair back. He had to get back to the base and think about this later and hopefully have a chance to talk to her. Ranger base. Haley and Naruto went down to the Ranger base and saw Ethan, who now decked out in sweats and lifting weights. Sup you two? He grinned. Ethan, are you sure you feel okay? She asked. Yeah, what's the occasion? Naruto questioned. Nothing special, just pumped up and ready to rock. He shouted happily, just as Connor came in looking like a complete studious college boy. His red shirt was buttoned up for once and he was wearing a suit jacket over it, as well as black dress pants and shoes. This just wasn't right in Naruto's eyes. "Good morning, all," he greeted, walking up. "The weather is particularly pleasant today. Excessively low humidity." "Whatever bro," Ethan chuckled. "How do my arms look? Am I ripped or what?" Everyone heard steps and turned to see Kira walking down the steps with a multitude of shopping bags around either wrist. Her hair was in a neat ponytail, and her bangs were kept out her face with a yellow headband. Also, she wore a spaghetti strap yellow summer dress and high heels. "Good morning, Kira," Naruto said, who was surprised of what she was wearing. He knew that Kira was not a dress girl, but she did look cute. "Hello." She grinned, coming over through a girly walk. "Sorry I'm late, there was a sale and I just couldn't, well, you understand." "Hey," Ethan spoke up, still lifting weights. "You guys think I'm ready for the Iron Man competition?" "Okay, I think there were definitely side effects from that meteor," Haley realized, shaking her head. "We need to destroy that rock and get you guys back to normal." "Yeah, the sooner the better," Naruto adds. "Huh?" Ethan frowned, lost at what was going on. "Side effects," Connor's interest peaked. "I find that highly improbable." "Yeah, I feel like I could kick Mesagog's butt myself," Ethan nodded. "Trust me guys, this isn't you," Naruto said. "Well, except that last thing about kicking Mesagog's ass." A smack to the back of his head by Haley reminding him of his language. Suddenly the computer alarm went off and the image of the monster from earlier appeared on screen as it sent small lasers blasts through the streets. "Look who's back." Haley walked over to the computer typing in a few things. The others exchanged glances before dropping books, weights and shopping bags onto the floor and standing in formation. "Ready?" Naruto asked. "Ready?" Ethan, Connor, Kira agreed after the latter had made sure her headband was on properly. Dino Thunder, power up. Ha. The Rangers arrived just as the monster went about blowing up a flower pot. "Let's devise a strategy of attack," Connor suggested. "I've got a strategy," Ethan cracked his knuckles. "We crush him." "The lines on my suit are so completely wrong." Kira whined, looking her uniform over. "Why doesn't anyone make superhero costumes for Petite?" Naruto groaned. "Focus guys." "Colorful annoyances." The monster yelled, turning to face them. "Prepare to be destroyed." How many times have we heard that?" Kira scoffed, annoyed, and the next thing out of her mouth was a girlish scream as lasers shot at the Red Ranger, but Naruto knocked him out the way and blocked the lasers with his Dragonzord. "Thanks Naruto." Connor, before looking up at Kira. He put out a hand because normally they helped each other up. Kira, a hand. "I just know I'm going to have the worst helmet hair after this." She groaned. She looked at Naruto and gave a dreamy sigh. "You're my hero." From inside the helmet, Naruto's face turned red, which distracted him for a second as the monster fired at them again, this time knocking them down. "You're no match for me silly suckers." The monster cackled. "Later, losers." And with a flash of green the monster was gone. "I told you we should have thought this out." Connor complained as they got up. "My business, you go big or you go home," Ethan challenged, walking up to him. "Guys, come on, we got bigger things to handle." Naruto held his arm out between the two. "Well, I say we go to the mall," Kira stated, and all three stalked off in different directions. "Guys, wait." He called out but was ignored, an irritated sigh escaped from him. "Now what am I going to do?" Back in the Ranger base. Kimberly was behind Haley, who was typing some stuff while researching over Naruto's chakra energy, the results showed, and this brought a smile to her. "This could be what we need to free Tommy." "What is it?" Kimberly asked. They heard the secret entrance open and saw Naruto walking in, alone. "Where are the others?" the Pink Ranger asked. He sighed. "They all stalked off to who knows where. Honestly, this is getting frustrating. Now I know how my old sensei felt when he took my team." "Well, I have good news," the Redeed said. He raised an eyebrow. "I may have found out why the guys are acting strange and way to free Tommy," she spoke. His eyes widened. "What is it and how?" he asked. She turned back typing and bring up some images. The meteor fragment must have caused the other to freeze their inner self. That's why they've been acting strangely. "And freeing sensei?" he asked. Kimberly listened. "I had looked closely at the chakra sample you gave me. But unfortunately it may do harm to Tommy. Luckily I tested a mixture of it with the energy from the meteor, and it would be safe enough to break him free if we can acquire a piece of it." "That's awesome, I'll contact the others," Naruto said and called for his team. Haley cyberspace. Connor nearly tripped over a bar stool as he walked up to the counter at cyberspace, nose in his books. He frowned, looking up to see a dressed-up Devin Del Valle on stage with disco lights and music, dancing away as a crowd of girls, and nerdy Cassidy included, swarmed at the edge of the stage. A little ways away, Ethan was doing a series of arduous push-ups, his trusty weights close by. And the doors swung open as Kira, still wearing her spaghetti-strap summer dress and high heels, came in, more and more shopping bags in hand. Before any of these three could move, their Dino Gem bracelets went off. Kira rolled her eyes, stalking out. Ethan growled and got to his feet, bringing his weights with him, and Connor slammed his books shut, groaning as they left. "Hey guys," Naruto greeted them. "What now?" Ethan snapped. "I was having a super intense workout. And I was right in the middle of a very compelling biography," Connor added. "And I was getting more fabulous clothes for my totally, boring and disgustingly punk wardrobe." Kira whined, swishing her shopping bags to add emphasis. "I found something," Haley stated, ignoring their whining. "Is this gonna involve dirt?" Kira inquired, grimacing. "'Cause if it does, I'm gonna have to say. Nah. Sorry if we're interrupted your busy day," Naruto snapped, having enough with their whining. "But Haley just thought you might like to know she may have found a way to unfossilize Sensei." "Really?" All the teens were wide-eyed. Haley explained her theory just as she told Naruto. "Of course. If you could harness its power with a combination of Naruto's energy, you could safely free Dr. Oliver from the inside out." Connor smiled before pushing up his glasses. "Although, I do take offense at being called weird." "Sorry," Haley apologized. "You're not being weird, it's just that the rock is allowing you to show a side of yourself that you don't usually show." "A recessive personality trait," Connor exclaimed in awe. "You could say that," Haley nodded. "Like Connor, there's a part of you that's intelligent, studies. Ethan, there's a part of you that's athletic, even competitive. Kira, a part of you is girly and loves fashion. And the reason I'm not affected by it is because of my chakra," Naruto added. "So that's why Trent helped us." Kira smiled proudly. "There's still a part of him that's really good." He wanted to scoff, but he held his tongue remembering Tori's advice. "I still don't get anything of this." Ethan still looking confused. "You don't have to," Kimberly stated. "For now just pull it together as a team just like Naruto said before. Trust him." "That sounds logical," Connor nodded. "Alright, here's what we need you to do." Naruto was cut off by the computer's alarm. "Oh, again?" Haley groaned, referring to the monster on screen. "That's your cue." 3 of the Rangers nodded and dropped bags, or books or weights, standing in formation. Naruto took position. "Ready?" Naruto asked the other 3. "Ready?" They nodded. "Dino Thunder, power up." "Ha." The monster blasted through the streets, making civilians run in panic. It was enjoying the sight of destruction until it was interrupted by multiple laser green shuriken that struck its back and fell. He got up. "You again," it growled, seeing the Rangers. "Under Max Saber." Connor yelled and leaped up to the creature and knocked it back a few feet when he slashed. "Most excellent. I've got something for you too," Ethan called. "Hello." Kira snapped. "Leave some for me." The two leaped forward using Connor's shoulders as leverage as they kicked off, landing 2 sets of powerful kicks at the monster's head, pushing him back. Naruto with his Velox talons came down with an axe kick, slashing the monster with his talons, sending it crashing. "All together now," he said. The 4 aimed their lasers, blasting away. The creature retaliated with its own laser shots. Thankfully Naruto stepped in front and played the dragon dagger, creating a shield which redirected the attack back, knocking it off its feet. "Let's do it, guys," Naruto exclaimed. "Super Dino mode." They all cried together, and power rushed to the surface as their suits changed to reflect the inner Dino. "Uh-oh," was all the monster could say before he was assaulted by a series of punches, kicks, and slashes, much more powerful than before. He fell backward after the final volley of attacks. The Rangers stepped back, calling forth their weapons. "Let's finish this, team," Naruto said. "Right," they exclaimed. They formed the Z-Rex blaster and took aim. Z-Rex blaster. "Ready?" Connor. "Aim." Kira. "Fire." Ethan. They shot at the monster, which hit on target and exploded into chunky pieces. "Now that's teamwork," Naruto said. "I think we did spectacular." Connor agreed. "We rock," Ethan yelled. "So fabulous." Kira smiled. It didn't take long for their cheers to die out as a dark rain cloud appeared overhead, drowning the remains of the monster in purple acid that made it reform and grow to huge building size. "It's Zord time," Naruto stated into his morpher. The sound of the dragozord stomping down the street towards them and released their Zords, who rushed towards them. They jumped up into their Zords as it formed into the Thundersaurus Megazord. "Time to use the new toy again," Naruto stated, pressing a button on his part of the control systems. "Ankylozord." The orange Zord came out of the dragozord's top part in order to replace the Raptorzord arm. The aggressive monster fired lasers at them, but Naruto swung the Ankylozord arm in that direction, using the spinning disc part of the arm as a shield and sending the lasers right back. "That did it." Ethan nodded, watching as a smoking monster began running off. They followed when it tried to get away, but soon the monster was trapped between the Dino Stegozord and what it had called the stupid Megazord. "Going somewhere?" Trent appeared. "It's Trent," Kira exclaimed happily. "He came to help us." Naruto's eyes narrowed. What was he doing? The Dino Stegozord blasted its sword forward and it smashed into the middle of the monster, causing a massive explosion of sparks. Cursing, it fell to the ground struggling to get up. Using the double drill, the attack had connected and in a huge explosion that passed between the two on-looking Zord formations, the monster was blown to pieces. "I'm outta here," Trent stated, turning his Dino Stegozord away and walking off. "Trent." Kira called from inside the Megazord, but she was left ignored as he disappeared. "Okay, guys, lasers at full power." Naruto called as he and the other three rode their raptor cycles towards the meteor rock. "Fire!" he shouted. 4 different colored blasts hurtled towards the space rock, exploding it into tiny pieces as they parked the cycles. "Power down," Naruto said. Not paying attention as purple lights drifted away from his friend's civilian forms, the 4 rushed over to the pit to find the rock lying in various pieces. "Think this will work?" Kira inquired as Ethan picked up the nearest one. "The components should still have a residual power to help Naruto's chakra safely free Dr. O," Ethan nodded, holding a slightly glowing purple rock. "How do you know this stuff?" Connor frowned. "It's called education," Ethan retorted, chuckling. "Okay, that was kinda brutal," the Red Ranger rolled his eyes before they widened. "Hey, you sound like the old Ethan." "Hey, I do." Ethan grinned happily. "Thank Kami," chuckled Naruto. "Thank God," Kira muttered. "One more minute at a shopping mall and ugh. I'll admit you do look cute in a dress." Naruto gave a grin making the Yellow Ranger blush and shot a small glare. "Let's get that space rock back to Haley and hopefully this will work," he told them. When they turned to leave, Naruto had quietly picked up a piece of the meteor and put it in his jacket. "Ranger base. I assume you're feeling back to normal?" Haley tested as she saw the Rangers walk in. Kimberly was sitting in a chair. Ethan had found himself a sweater, Connor had ditched a suit jacket and unbuttoned most of the red dress shirt, Kira was pulling uncomfortably at her dress. "Thank goodness," Ethan nodded. "I heard that," Connor said. "Hey, if the meteor made Trent good today, couldn't we use it to reverse the effects of the Dino Gem?" the Yellow Ranger asked. Naruto stayed quiet. Haley walked over to a machine. "We could," she nodded, inserting the meteor piece into a part of the machine. "But let's try this first." "Come on, Haley," he encouraged as they walked over to see her press a bunch of buttons. This caused the machine to power up, and in no time a blast of reddish-purple energy shot out of the end, hitting the amber Tommy was frozen in. They watched in awe. Naruto was supporting his surrogate big sister, the amber melted away, but the beam stopped when the machine sparked and nearly blew apart. Kira reached over, lifting the meteor box out. "The rock, it's fried." "Yeah, but look." Naruto cried, pointing towards the formerly fossilized Black Ranger, who was now free to move around. Him rushed to her husband and slammed into a hug as she cried into his chest. Tommy rubbed his wife's back trying to comfort her. "I'm back, beautiful." The Rangers and Haley smiled at the scene. A minute passed and their mentor greeted them. "What's up, guy?" They rushed to him and were commenting on how glad they were to have him back. "Good job all of you, especially you, Naruto," Tommy stated. Making the shinobi chuckle and scratch the back of his head. "Power down." "Nothing happened." "Tommy?" Kimberly asked. "I said, power down," he cried as the others frowned. "Still, nothing happened." "I think we might have a problem." He looked up and the other Rangers turned to look at Haley, who was just as confused as they were. "Big problem, Dadabayo," Naruto said. "Mesagog's lab." Both Zeltra and Elsa were on their knees in pain before Mesagog, who shot an orange color beam. "You two have been tasting my patience long enough." Once he had stopped, his 2 minions had slowly stood up. Elsa spoke. "My lord, please hear me out. I might have found a way to destroy the Rangers and capture our white friend." Mesagog has heard this many times, but proceed. She went over to the controls and brought up a video of Naruto, who was angry at the time when Dr. Oliver was thought to be destroyed, and slightly released some of Kurama's chakra. "What is that?" the mutant dinosaur questioned. "I'm not sure, my lord, but whatever it is, it gave off a strong feeling of rage and hatred and death, something that a ranger never possessed. If I can somehow acquire a DNA sample, then I may able to recreate this power or duplicate it into one of our own creations," she explained. "He also possesses the ability to manipulate energy and create clones of himself," Zeltrax informed. Mesagog continued to watch the video again and paused it, showing Naruto's slit eyes. "Interesting, it seems we have a ranger to hunt." He gave a menacing look. So this part ends here. Alright, that's it for today's video, guys. Let me know in the comments section how was the story, and also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I will meet you in another video. Bye bye.